All right, guys. So we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday, talking about the Krebs cycle. And hopefully, you found the homework assignment to be useful. If you didn't get to the homework assignment, or if you chose not to watch those videos, I really recommend that you take a few minutes and do that. And that will set you up on Monday when I'm back and I can put these things on the board. We can kind of move forward together. So I'm just asking you guys to do what you can with the time that you have, and then we'll be good to go next week. All right, so just a quick recap. We're talking about cellular respiration. We're talking about aerobic cellular respiration when we get to the Krebs cycle, and then when we get to um, the oxidative phosphorylation. So this is where, in the presence of oxygen, this is where you're going to get the high yield of ATP. So glucose has been broken down through glycolysis. That did not need oxygen, which is why it could happen in anaerobic or aerobic cellular respiration. Then that glucose being broken down now gives us pyruvate, which occurred in the cytoplasm. Then that's converted into acetyl coenzyme A, which now goes into the mitochondria itself and is going to move through the Krebs cycle, resulting in the formation of NADH, FADH2, and of course 2 ATP. So at this juncture, you have yourself a total of 4 produced ATP, or a gain of 4 ATP. Remember, you're getting 6, but it cost us 2 to get started. So that's where we say we've picked up 4. And then you actually have a net of numerous NADH, which we're going to see in a minute, how these electron carriers are actually going to help to set us up in the electron transport chain. So just to put a picture to what we were talking about, at each step, you see that as you go around the citric acid cycle, and I'm intentionally trying to go back and forth between the terms because Krebs cycle, citric acid cycle, you're going to see it both ways, right? So over here, we're going to pick up 1 NADH, then we're going to pick 2, 3, and 4 over there. Then we also have the FADH2, and this now goes through twice, right? So you're actually going to go around because you had not 1 but 2 acetyl coenzyme A, because you had 2 pyruvate that entered. So this then becomes a total of 6, right? So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You guys get the idea. So that next step then is, what do we do with these electron carriers? And that's what we're going to look at now. So we come over to the electron transport. And if you recall, during photosynthesis, we saw that there was an electron transport chain that was moving after photolysis, right? We had those electrons that would move along and would end up powering the ATP synthase. Remember, we saw that was where we were pumping out from the thylakoid and the lumen, right? We end up pumping out the hydrogen through the ATP synthase, and that generates the ATP that then gets used to make glucose. Well, in this situation, we have the NADH and the FADH2 that are going to contribute the energy needed in the electron transport chain. So basically, in the inner membrane of the mitochondria, you have, again, a set of proteins, and there's a 4-protein complex that are pushing hydrogen and protons basically into the inner lining that then will end up getting pumped out through the ATP synthase. And with each round of pumping, you're going to generate all that ATP. So in an ideal situation, right, theoretically, you can pick up 34 ATP, and that's the number that we're going to work with, right? 32 to 34 ATP can be generated from the electron transport chain. Now, what I just described to you definitely would help if I showed you a video. So after this one, I actually put in a quick video that shows it. I think it'll help you guys to pick all that up. So let's read these down, right? Electron transport chain. To make ATP energy, energy must be transported. So glucose then is going to be broken apart. When you break that apart, you're making the NADH and the FADH2, and that's then going to generate or help to generate the ATP, right? So that's the big picture that we're looking at. So it's the final stage of aerobic cellular respiration. So again, in the presence of oxygen. These high energy electrons released from the molecules move along the electron transport chain, or the inner membrane of the mitochondria, and this then powers the ATP synthase that is going to produce ATP from ADP. So sometimes, again, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You can see that you're generating, or you're moving hydrogens across, right? Remember I said there were going to be 4 proteins that are helping to move. So you're seeing in this diagram that the complex over here and your electron transport chain is moving the energy along, and then that energy comes along from here, goes over to the ATP synthase, and that's where, right, the protons or the hydrogens are being pushed through, which then are converting your ADP into ATP. All right, so this wasn't necessarily a very long lesson today. I figured I would give you guys some time to work on the homework, as well as also watch the brief video that I left after this one so that it can tie them both together. Please take time, work on the assignment, be productive, don't be disruptive to whoever's covering the class right now, and then this should set you up to have no homework this weekend. All right, so I miss you guys. I apologize that I'm not there, but I will be there Monday, and we'll move on from there. All right, have a great weekend.